My soccer team holds clinics all winter to help get us prepared for the season, and I was really excited to hear about this and be a part of it. But then I found out that they were on Sundays, and I was disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to do that. But I just figured it wouldn't be a big deal. But then I started getting all this pressure from my teammates because I'm the only goalkeeper on the team, and they wanted to be able to practice with me. And the first time someone came up to me and asked me to do it, it was pretty easy to say that I have religious things that I do on Sunday, and I don't believe in participating in sports on Sundays. But then one by one, my entire team came up and asked me, and every time it got harder and harder to say that I wasn't going to do this. But I'm really thankful that I didn't, because my team gives me a lot of respect, and it gave me the opportunity to show them what I believe, and I was able to use that time to grow my testimony and talk to my family, and I'm really thankful I did that.
So one night I was out with my friends, and they started driving. I was in the car, and we got to a house, and it turned out to be kind of like a house party. And so at first I just felt really weird being there, and I sat on the couch. Mostly everyone was like outside, and they were drinking and everything. So I stayed inside with just like 2 other people were with me, and I was just waiting for like an opportunity to like have an excuse to go home or something like that. And just at that moment, my friend said his mom called him and told him to go home. So I didn't hesitate. I asked him for a ride, and my friends were like wondering like where I was going, and I stood up and told them that I didn't feel like being there, and I just wanted to be home. And so that was just a time where I stood up for my faith and the word of wisdom. And I felt really good getting out of that situation just because I knew it was the right choice, and the consequences were if I stayed later, both of the cars that I could have taken, they were both stopped by police cars, and everyone in the car had to inform their parents, and they were in trouble. So if I was in that car, I would probably been in trouble with my parents and had to face more serious consequences.
I was in a situation where I was in a car with a couple of friends, and they were driving around. We took a stop at school, and they asked me if I wanted to go to the woods. And I asked them, what are you guys going to do in the woods? And they said they were going to smoke some marijuana. So at that moment, I realized I had to make a decision. I could either say no now, or just wait and see what happens, maybe even get more tempted. But then that's when I took a stand. I decided that I would say no now rather than to be later tempted. I realize now that my actions really show result in my life, because if I didn't decide to say no at that instant moment, I could have probably be somewhere else now in life.
Last year I started dating this non-member girl who at first I thought had pretty strong morals and wasn't drinking, but wasn't a member of church, so I was a little skeptical. But as our relationship progressed, you know, she seemed like she was interested in the church. I introduced her to the missionaries, and she came a couple times on Sunday. And as the year went on, and she started making friends with more of the partying crowd. And on the weekends she told me that she started going to these parties, and at first I said, you know, she seems interested in the church. She's not drinking, so, you know, it must be fine. And then as time went on, she started inviting me to these parties, and Satan works in different ways. And what really happened with this particular girl was she gave in to peer pressure, which is one of Satan's strongest weapons, and she was persuaded by the crowd at school, and she gave in to temptation and started drinking, and she tried to get me to come to these parties with her and start drinking and smoking and things like that. which were things that I wasn't interested in and things that I knew would pull me from the church. And at that point, I had to make a decision to stand for my beliefs or you know, choose the wrong, and I stood for my beliefs, and I know that God's blessed me for that.
My best friend at school has been stuck with me since elementary, middle, and high school. But as soon as she started smoking marijuana, everything changed. She didn't want to hang out with me so much because I would reject all of the times that she wanted me to smoke with her. And it was harder for me to stay with her. And so I had to stand to make a choice. I had to stand to keep the word of wisdom and my covenant with God. And even though it meant to lose a friend, I knew it was right, and I wanted to do it.
One time I was with a group of my friends, and the topic of conversation turned to a girl that was in my grade. They started speaking really negatively about her, and they were making fun of a lot of the things she did on Facebook. I chose to stand up against gossiping and not participate in the conversation. It made me feel really good that I didn't participate in belittling someone, and I chose to stand up for her, and I chose to not participate in the conversation as they spoke negatively, and I encouraged them to stop.
So last year when I was a junior, my history class was watching a movie, and I felt it was inappropriate, and so in the middle of the movie, I got up and just walked out of the classroom, and I was really scared because my history teacher is known to get mad at students when they were disrespectful. So I waited outside the classroom, and she came out and I explained the situation to her, and she told me until the movie was over that she would let me have a free period. And so I came back after the movie was done, and I found out that 4 other students had walked out of the classroom, and I felt like I stood up for my beliefs and not watching rated R movies, and it made me feel like I was an example.
Okay, so every week I'm faced with doing things that would prevent me from serving a mission. Because I've told my friends and peers long ago that I don't participate in those activities, today I'm not faced with the pressure that they can bring. And I think I can't promise you that your friends and peers will respect you for your actions or what you don't do. But I can tell you that most of mine do. And my name is Hiram Flake, and I stand for strength.
So I have a friend who is not LDS, and she doesn't share the same standards as I do. And I've made it clear to her that I will dress modestly even when she doesn't. She's fine with that, but she doesn't do exactly what I do. But one day she asked me to be in her quince, in her court, and I told her I don't know if I'll be able to make it. And she said, "You have to, because I ordered the dresses to the knee just for you." And I was touched because I realized that she respected, even though we don't have the exact same standards, she respected mine enough to be able to order that just for me. Even though I was one of 16 girls, she chose to help me live my standards. That made me feel happy.
So being on a track team, I'm around my teammates a lot, and sometimes they talk about things that I'm not really comfortable being around and hearing. So at times I have to ask them to stop talking about what they're speaking about. And over time they've learned to respect me and respect my beliefs, and they know what I stand for. They know that I don't like hearing these things, and it's been a real blessing because they've been able to grow to respect me and my beliefs. And it's just been great to be able to express to them my feelings and how I want to be in a safe environment where things aren't going to distract from the spirit.
I'm Madison, and I stand for keeping the Sabbath day holy.
I'm Jack Varvel, and I stand against peer pressure.
I'm Victor Arenas, and I stand for making decisions now.
I'm Amanda, and I stand for being a good example.
I am Anna Ailery, and I stand for modesty.
Chris Gutierrez, and I stand up for the word of wisdom.
My name's Hiram Flake, and I stand.
My name is Christina Palma, and I stand.
I'm Taylor, and I stand.
I stand.
I stand.
I stand.
I am Anna Ailery, and I stand.
That's your mom's smart.
Navy boot camp was not an easy experience for me, or for anyone who endured it. For the first 3 weeks, I was convinced my life was in jeopardy. The Navy wasn't trying to train me. It was trying to kill me. I shall ever remember when Sunday rolled around after the first week. We received welcome news from the chief petty officer. Standing at attention on the drill ground in a brisk California breeze, we heard his command.
Today, everybody goes to church. Everybody, that is, except me. I'm going to relax. All you Catholics, you meet in Camp Decatur. And don't come back until 1500 hours. Fall out! Those of you who are Jewish, you meet in Camp Henry. Fall out. The rest of you Protestants, you meet in the theater at Camp Farragut. Fall out.
Instantly there flashed through my mind the thought, Monson, you're not a Catholic, you're not a Jew, you're not a Protestant, you're a Mormon. So you just stand here. I can assure you that I felt completely alone. Courageous, determined, yes, but alone. As we go about living from day to day, it's almost inevitable that our faith will be challenged. We may at times find ourselves surrounded by others, and yet standing in the minority. Or even standing alone concerning what is acceptable and what is not. Do we have the moral courage to stand firm for our beliefs, even if by so doing we must stand alone?
You guys shouldn't be looking at either.
It is essential that we are able to face with courage whatever challenges come our way.
And just what do you guys call yourselves?
Until that very moment, I had not realized that anyone was standing beside me or behind me on the drill ground. Almost in unison, each of us replied,
Mormon, sir! Or you guys go find some place to meet. And don't come back until 1500 hours. Fall out!
It is difficult to describe the joy that filled my heart. As we marched away, I thought of the words of a rhyme I had learned in primary years before. Dare to be a Mormon. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose firm. Dare to make it known. May we ever be courageous.